friends, and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Callie Bransford, and I have shared 2 toddler activity videos, which I will link down below, and you guys seem to really love them. So I thought that it'd be fun that now we are getting into the seasonal time of year, like the time of year where there's a bunch of holidays. It'd be fun to share some holiday themed toddler activities. So I put together some really fun Halloween toddler activities that you can do with your little guys at home. So let's go ahead and jump into these. For the first activity, we are calling it Bug Rescue, and what you're going to need is a Tupperware and then some plastic like bugs or snakes or worms. I got mine all at the Dollar Tree. Then you're going to take some fake spider webbing. Again, I got this at the Dollar Tree. Stretch this across the top of your Tupperware. If you can't find spider webbing, you could also just use white yarn and you could wrap it across the top of the Tupperware like in a zigzaggy pattern so it looks like a spider web. Then the goal of this activity is to have your toddler rescue the bugs. So for slightly older kids, you can offer them a set of little tongs or tweezers to have them rescue the bugs with those. That's a really great fine motor skill. You could also have them rescue the bugs and then sort them by type. For littler hands, you can just have them sort of dig right in there and pull the bugs out of the spider webbing. And obviously you can make the webbing less or more dense depending on your kid's ability. Okay, next up we're just going to make a really fun sensory bin using a ton of different Halloween items. So I'm going to use rice as the base for my sensory bin, and I'm gonna dye mine Halloween colors. So in order to dye rice, all you have to do is place it into a plastic bag or a large bowl with about 1 cup of rice to about 1 teaspoon of vinegar mixed with food coloring. And then just mix this all up really well till the color is well distributed all over your rice, and then spread the rice out on a cooking tray or parchment paper. This is gonna speed up the dry time. Mine dried in a couple of hours, but it could take longer depending on like the humidity of where you live. So my goal here was to do, like, I was thinking of like pumpkin colored rice. So I did orange and green, but it kind of just ended up looking like a reversed Irish flag. Whatever. My son was not old enough that he noticed that it looked like sort of like the Irish flag. And then I just placed a bunch of different Halloween sort of sensory items in with it. Again, went to the Dollar Tree to source a bunch of this stuff. So I have some like little light up pumpkins, I have some creepy crawlies, and then obviously just like offer a few other tools with this. I offered him some different like spoons and things to scoop the rice with. Personally, I like to do rice in something really low. I'm actually just using a cooking tray. And then I put that inside of one of the under the bed Tupperwares, like the really low, long Tupperwares that are designed to go under the bed, because these are great. The walls are really low so your child can still reach in, and I feel like it helps keep the rice a little bit more contained. When you do rice sensory bins, rice does end up places that you don't really want it. Personally, I prefer to do it outside or on my front porch, but I do this inside sometimes too. You can just throw down like a big blanket. Either way, I thought this was really fun. It was just a different take on a sensory bin, which kids always love, but it just brings a little bit of the holiday in. Okay, next up we are going to make a Halloween version of Play-Doh. It gets like fizzy and it melts and it bubbles and it's very cool. So in order to make this Play-Doh, it's about a 1/2 cup of cornstarch to a 1/2 cup of baking soda, and then about 1/4 cup of hair conditioner, which seems sort of random, but you're just gonna mix this all together really well. Cornstarch is sort of a weird consistency, so as you're mixing it's going to look like weird and crumbly, but eventually it starts to form into a dough, and then you'll want to take your hands and just kind of knead it, and it will turn into like a Play-Doh. It's actually a really nice, like soft, pliable Play-Doh. So your kids can just take the dough and like have fun with it, play with it like normal Play-Doh. But the fun part of this is that it melts. And so what I did is I had 3 cups of vinegar that I dyed different colors, and my son immediately saw the vinegar and the little eyedroppers, and he knew that like we were going to be doing something fun with it. So he kind of dove right in. So you take the eyedroppers, and when you drop it onto the dough, obviously the vinegar and the baking soda have a reaction and it just starts to like bubble. But it's really fun because unlike when you use just baking soda and vinegar and it like bubbles really fast and then it's over, because of the cornstarch and the other ingredients, it kind of like bubbles really slow. So you can really add a lot of vinegar and have a lot of fun like adding vinegar and watching it bubble and then still sort of playing with it like it's regular Play-Doh. And I just think it's sort of like a fun Halloween take on Play-Doh because it kind of like fizzes and bubbles, you know, like I'm thinking like a magic potion or like a witch's cauldron or whatever. Either way, my son really loved this activity, and I love that it's sort of 2 activities in one, because first it's the Play-Doh and then it's the melting Play-Doh. Okay, next activity is called jelly pumpkins. This is another sensory activity. What you're gonna need is some orange Jello, and you're essentially gonna make like little pumpkin jellies out of this. Now, I had an old plastic egg carton laying around, so I'm gonna use this as my form for my pumpkin jellies. If you don't have any of these, you can use muffin tins, but just give it a good coat of like a cooking oil first. It'll make the jello easier to pop out. So mix the jello according to the package, and then go ahead and pour it into whatever mold you are using. My original goal was to use raisins to make little pumpkin faces on these, but it actually turned out to be like way too difficult, and I was like, it's not even worth it. I'm just gonna make them be little orange like blobs that look like pumpkins. Once the jello is completely formed, usually takes like 4 to 6 hours, you can just pop these out. If you're having trouble with like the muffin tins, you can just put the base of them in a little bit of warm water and it'll help them pop right out. And then place these out again like we did with the sensory bin on like a cooking tray, and just let your kids have at it. I love this one because it's just a different texture. It might not be something they've ever played with before. It's kind of fun because it tastes good, so if they eat it a little bit, that's kind of fun. And Miles had a blast just sort of playing with these different textures and smushing them and just having a grand old time. If you're feeling really extra and you really want these to look more like jack-o'-lanterns, you want to get into the jello when it's about 2 hours set, so it's still kind of soft but a little bit firm, and you could use raisins to make a little jack-o'-lantern face. Okay, this next activity I'm calling fizzing bugs, and all you need is a muffin tin, and what you're going to do is put a few drops of food coloring in the base of each one, and then cover that up with baking soda, and then I put just like some spiders in each one, and then you're going to offer your child some eyedroppers with vinegar, and the goal here is obviously when the vinegar hits the baking soda, it's going to fizz all up, and whatever color was underneath is going to be revealed. Unfortunately, you can learn from my mistake. I made this like ahead of time, and it probably sat for 3 or 4 hours before we did it, so the food coloring actually had dried at the bottom of the muffin tin, so we didn't get the color to show up immediately. Like, it would take 2 or 3 minutes before the color would show up in the baking soda. So just a little tip that if you want it to be like an instantaneous color, to make it like right before you're about to do it. But this is really fun. Miles just really enjoyed taking the vinegar and like practicing squeezing it out into the different muffin tins and filling each one that hadn't been filled. But if your kids are a little bit older, this could be really fun because you could fill the muffin tins and then use like a fork or a spoon to then sort of rescue the spiders out of the muffin tins. I just love this because it combines like a little bit of fine motor with a little bit of science experience with a little bit of like color theory, so you got a lot of stuff going on. Next activity is just I wanted to do a Halloween matching game. Miles, my son, is super into matching right now, so I have a link down below to the this little matching card game that I have here. It's just like a free printable that I created. You can download it for free on my website, but basically I just have a few different Halloween pictures, and I have a large one and then some small ones so that Miles can match the bigger ones to the smaller ones. If you have slightly older kids, you could use these cards to play memory. Obviously flip them upside down, and then you're trying to flip one at a time and make matches. So lots of different things you can do with Halloween themed cards like this. Last but not least, I wanted to do something with pumpkins. I bought a couple of sugar pumpkins and I was trying to think of something fun to do with them. Originally I was gonna paint them, but my son is currently super into stickers, which is a really great fine motor skill and really good for like finger strength. And so instead I let him decorate the pumpkin with stickers. And this has actually turned out to be really, really great because when you put stickers on a pumpkin, they basically become like reusable because you can pull them off again. So he had a blast sticking them onto the pumpkins, taking them off of the pumpkins, putting them onto other pumpkins. So this was a really fun activity, just some stickers on pumpkins. And the best part is when you're all done, if you want, you can just take the stickers off and keep using the pumpkins as like decor in your house. So that does it. Those are my toddler Halloween activities. I hope you enjoyed these. I know my son had a lot of fun testing these out for you guys. If you use any of them, I love, love, love when you share videos or pictures of your toddlers doing the activities I share with me on Instagram. I love to see them. I love to reshare them on my feed as well. So definitely make sure to tag me when you share them. But that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you all in my next video.